So hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Med School with Shubham. I am Shubham, a third professional MBBS student, and I shall be teaching you anatomy. I have started a new series on embryology on my YouTube channel in which I am teaching you all the core concepts of embryology right from the base till the development of all the systems in the body. I have previously uploaded 2 videos on the embryology, general embryology, that is the first week of development, in which I have taught you about the fertilization and the different stages of the zygote formation, morula formation, zonal hatching, blastocyst formation. And today we'll be talking about the implantation process. So let's get started in this beautiful world of embryology with me. So today we'll be learning about implantation. So what actually is implantation? So the implantation means the blastocyst stage that we got till on the day 5th of the development. That blastocyst stage, blastocyst, it gets embedded in this blastocyst stage, gets embedded inside the endometrium. This is called as implantation. Means what? Assume that this is the endometrium and this is the blastocyst. So this blastocyst will go entirely inside this endometrial layer. This is called as implantation. So what is the site of implantation? So the the normal site of implantation is the posterior wall of the fundus of the uterus. The posterior wall of the fundus of the uterus, but in the endometrium. Okay, posterior wall of the fundus of the uterus in the endometrium. Now we saw the definition of implantation, then we saw the site of implantation. Now let's see the day of implantation. So the implantation takes place from day 6 to day 10. Implantation takes place from day 6 to the day 10th of development. Some books even says that it takes place on the day 7th or day 8th. But there are many editions which says that the implantation takes place from day 6 to day 10. Okay. Now let's see the actual process or the mechanism of the implantation. Okay, let's reduce the size. Now let's learn the mechanism or the process of implantation. So assume this is the outer cell layer and this is the uterine wall. This is the inner cell mass. Okay, let me name the things again. This entire thing is the blastocyst. This layer is the outer cell layer, and this inside layer is the inner cell mass. Now guys, keep this in mind that the outer cell layer is also called as the trophoblast. The outer cell layer is also called as trophoblast, and the inner cell layer is also called as the embryoblast. Okay, let me repeat this thing again. This entire thing is the blastocyst. Then we have the outer cell layer which is called as the trophoblast, and we have this inner cell mass that is called as the embryoblast. If you are facing problem in understanding this concept, what is trophoblast, what is outer cell layer, what is inner cell layer, then you might have not watched my previous lecture. So I request you to please go on my on my series in my playlist, and please watch the previous 2 lectures in which I have taught everything regarding the blastocyst, the outer cell layer and the inner cell mass. Okay, so let's move forward. So this is the uterine membrane, uterine wall. Now what happens is that, please understand this concept very carefully. This outer cell layer, or that is the trophoblast, it will start proliferating its cells inside the uterine wall or inside the endometrium in this manner. So it will look like this somewhat. In this way. Okay. This is the outer cell layer, and these are also the, let me not pronounce it as outer cell layer. This is the trophoblast, and these are also the trophoblast. These both are trophoblast. Why are these cells the trophoblast? Because it has originated from the same outer cell layer. Those are called as trophoblasts, so these are also called as trophoblasts. Now what happens is, these are the inner cell mass, okay, and this is the uterine wall. Now this embryo, this blastocyst will now secrete some proteolytic enzymes inside this trophoblast. Proteolytic enzymes means what? Those enzymes which will degrade the proteins. And which proteins? The cell membrane proteins of these cells. Okay. Now what will happen in the next step? It will secrete the embryo or the blastocyst will secrete some proteolytic enzymes, and because of the action of the proteolytic enzymes, what will happen? These trophoblastic cells, they will lose their cell membrane. So what will be remaining? If you have a cell, what are the different what does the cell contains? The outer cell membrane and the inner cytoplasm. So if a cell loses its cell membrane, what will it remain is the only cytoplasm. So this entire thing will contain only cytoplasm and the organelles, and then it will form a jelly-like or a gel-like manner. In this gel-like consistency will be formed in this region, and this embryo, the blastocyst, it will dip in that, inside that gel. So it will look something like this. Let me make over here. Okay, this contains the cell organelles and the nucleus. These are the trophoblast. These are the inner cell mass, inner cell. Now what happens? See, as I named that, this was also trophoblast, this was also trophoblast, and this was also trophoblast. But now what happened? Because of the secretion of the proteolytic enzymes, the trophoblast which was inside the endometrium, they lost their outer cell layer, they lost their cell membrane, and now what left is only the cytoplasm and the organelles. But this is also the trophoblast, but not the complete cell. Therefore, what difference do we have between this trophoblast and this trophoblast is, these trophoblasts, they have complete cell structures like cell membrane. These have the cell membrane, and these trophoblasts, they do not have the cell membrane. Therefore, depending upon their cell membrane, we have divided it into, these are the cytotrophoblast. Both are the trophoblast, but these are the cytotrophoblast, and these are the, this layer, it is the syncytotrophoblast. trophoblast. I hope this is very clear to you guys. Let me repeat this again, or let's first complete this, then I'll repeat the entire thing once again. Now what happens, this in situ trophoblast is formed. It forms a jelly like manner. It seems to be like jelly like manner, and now this embryo will this blastocyst will now slowly dip inside this, and then the endometrium will cover this from the above. So it will seem something like this. In this way. I hope this is very clear to you. See, let me color this. And this same will be surrounded all over. Okay, let's name the thing once again. This is the in situ trophoblast. This layer is the cytotrophoblast, and this inside is the inner cell mass or the embryo or the embryoblast. I hope this is very clear to you guys. Let me repeat this entire thing once again. Mechanism. First we have the blastocyst and the uterine wall. Then in this blastocyst we have the outer cell layer and the inner cell mass. The outer cell layer is called as trophoblast. The inner cell mass is called as embryoblast. The trophoblast will now start proliferating itself inside the uterine wall, because of which the entire trophoblastic layer will be formed inside the uterine wall, and now the embryoblast or the blastocyst, it will now start secreting some proteolytic enzymes, because of which the cell membrane of the what will happen because of this? The cell membrane of the trophoblast disintegrates. The cell membrane of the trophoblast disintegrates, because of which now the trophoblast will now gets differentiated into two types: the cytotrophoblast, which has the cell membrane, and the in situ trophoblast, which have lost the cell membrane. Now as it is a jelly like substance, now the embryo, the blastocyst, it becomes very simple for the blastocyst to just dip inside that jelly like substance. So therefore we can find this goes entirely deep inside this, and then it becomes very it covers the blastocyst all over, and then it just gets this is just covered with the other endometrial cells again. So this is the process of implantation. Now let's come to the clinical anatomy, as I focus more on the clinical anatomy in all the lectures. So in the clinical anatomy, first we will be learning about the abnormal sites of implantation. We saw that the normal site of implantation was the posterior wall of the fundus of the uterus, but in the upper segment of uterus. Now what is this upper segment of uterus? We'll be learning now. So in this we will be learning the abnormal sites of uterus. So in the abnormal sites there are two things again. If the blastocyst gets implanted inside the uterus, that is abnormal implantation inside uterus, and abnormal implantation outside the uterus. Okay, Now the the blastocyst should generally get implanted in the upper segment of the uterus. Means what? If this is the uterus, this is the upper segment of the uterus, this is the lower segment of the uterus. So it should take place, the implantation should take place in the upper segment of the uterus. But if it takes place in the lower segment of the uterus, it is called as abnormal, that is called as placenta previa. Placenta previa. Okay? Placenta previa. Now, if the implantation takes place outside the uterus, now what are the places where the implantation can take place? So the first is the mesentery, fallopian tube, ovary, or it can also go inside the cervix or the fimbriae. Okay, for this we will be drawing a diagram over here. Now, okay, so if the implantation takes place in this segment, this is the normal site of implantation because it is taking place in the posterior wall of the upper segment of the uterus. Let me demark the boundary of the upper and the lower segment. Okay, so this is the upper segment, this is the lower segment. But if the implantation takes place in the lower segment, it is called as placenta previa. If the implantation takes place inside the fallopian tube, this is the fallopian tube, it can take place over here. It can even take place inside the fimbriae part. It can even take place inside the ovary, or it can even take place inside this mesentery. This is the mesentery. It can take place inside the mesentery, or it can even take place in the cervix region. So these are the abnormal sites of implantation. So the details about placenta previa will be learning inside in the topic, which is the development of the placenta. For now, you just remember one thing, that what is placenta previa? That if the implantation takes place in the lower uterine segment, then the placenta will be formed in the lower uterine segment, and that condition is called as placenta previa. Let me repeat with the same thing. If the implantation takes place in the lower uterine segment, that is in this segment, if the implantation takes place in this segment, that is the lower uterine segment, the placenta will be formed in the lower uterine segment, and that condition is called as the placenta previa. I hope this is very clear to you. If the implantation takes place in the fallopian tube, it is called as tubal implantation. If it takes place inside the ovary, then ovarian implantation. If it takes place in the cervix, then cervical implantation. If it takes place in the fimbriae, then it is called as infundibular implantation. Or if it takes place in the mesentery, then it is called as mesentral implantation. Okay, so thank you guys for staying with me in this entire lecture. I hope I have explained you in a most simplified manner as I can. So thank you for watching my videos. Please like my videos, subscribe my channel, and share it with your other friends. Thank you so much, guys. Guys, if you want the notes of my embryology lectures, please follow my Instagram channel, that is Shubs2000, and DM me on my Instagram handle notes. I shall directly send you the PDF of my notes according to the lectures. Those notes will be in the same format, in this colorful manner, which will help you a lot in your exams. Thank you so much, guys.